everybody. It is Brandon Foster. And today I'm super excited to share Lindsey Carey's Born to Slay testimony with all of you. Lindsey is someone who is really special to me. She came to me as a mom who does tutoring and really wanted to see her travel business start to take off. And I'm just going to let her share her story and introduce herself. Hi, Lindsey. How are you today, boo?
Good.
So why don't you just share what's on your heart? Normally I say like your background, whatever, but you've already been doing some reflection on what Born to Slay has meant to you and how it has helped you. So I'm just going to let you share whatever you want to share.
Okay. Well, so I've been in the business for 3 years. And I've seen some growth. It's been slow, but my sales have increased year over year. I've got more clients year over year. But after 2 years of being in the business, I was so burnt out already. Just all of the tire kickers and just spending so much time on people not respecting my time. And so I decided to at the beginning of my 3rd year, I decided to make a bunch of changes in how I did my business. And as I was seeing some fruits from those changes, and I can't remember when I know I came across you from, I think it was like Travel Pro Summit or something like that, where you did like a little talk. And so I joined your group after that, and I was kind of watching you for a few months. And I kind of got to the point where I was like, I think I could actually do something. I think I could actually be successful in this business. But I just, I just had, I didn't feel good about myself. I didn't feel that I was good enough. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't think that I could do it. And so you were offering, they were like short little 15-minute calls just to kind of meet with you. And so kind of a couple times I saw it, and I started making the setting the time, and I didn't. And then I finally did it. And that first time we met, so I have 5 kids, and I homeschool, and I was also tutoring on the side too. And I think one of the first things that I said was something along the lines that I can't do all of this with 5 kids and homeschooling. And you were really honest with me and said, and again, I can't remember exactly how you said it, but basically like, do you think you're the only mom who's had 5 kids, that you've homeschooled and had a business going too? And you just made me realize that I was using that as an excuse. And I right away I was kind of like, ooh, that stings. That really hurts. But as I reflected on it, I was like, you're right. I absolutely was using that as an excuse. And I loved your honesty. I love that you were truthful with me, even though we had just met, and you were truthful with me in a loving way. So then, that same week we had another call, and then I ended up signing up that same week. And it's just been quite the journey. My business I haven't seen like huge gains in my business as far as sales or finances go. Still more than last year. And I have had my biggest month since I have been in Born to Slay. But I've done things that I was scared to do and I did not want to do, like create the lead magnet and put it out there for people. I don't like social media, but I've been working really hard to stay consistent with that. And I'm able to let go of, like, I get in my head, and if somebody doesn't respond right away, then I start having all these negative thoughts, but I'm able to bring myself down from that a lot easier now than I ever used to before. I would just sit on it for days and days. But I think the biggest thing that you have done for me is how it has affected my personal life. just, I mean, you know what has gone on, and it's just it's helped me be brave enough to make those make those hard conversations. And you know, things aren't perfect, but they have been so much better. And um I have also, like, I've been on antidepressants for years, and I've tried so hard over the last 2 or 3 years to get over those, and I'll always know that I need to go back on them because I start having these terrible thoughts about myself,
Mm.
and I haven't felt that I've needed them for probably 3 months now. Like, I haven't had them at all, and that's like, I
Wow.
know, I didn't realize that when we had our last conversation, but as I got to thinking over it the last month, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I haven't even felt like I've needed to start them back up." Whereas in the past, I would have a week of all of these bad thoughts, like, "I'm not good enough, you can't do that." And so I would start taking them again, and it would help, but I haven't even felt like I've needed that. I've been able to, when I do have those negative thoughts, like, when you've taught me about forgiveness, I've always known about forgiving other people,
Mm.
but the
Yeah.
forgiving myself, I've never even thought of that.
Yeah.
And that's been
Big.
huge for me. It's been so big to just know that I can forgive myself for thinking those thoughts and realize that it's not the truth. Um, so, it's just I can't even say how amazing this has been for just everything, and I know my business is gonna take off. I've, you know, scaling back on tutoring, and then, yeah, God's kinda pushed me out now, so it's my boss has decided just to transition everybody over. Um, Scary financially, but I just trust 100% that God has my back, and as long as I'm still taking action within my business and my personal life, then I know it's gonna continue growing.
Wow. I'm a little speechless because I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful that you are sharing that with me. And hmm, I want to recap a couple things just for all of you who are listening. And the first thing I want to recap is that I've had a lot of people like you, Lindsey, who have had business transformation and had deeper, in a lot of regards, personal transformation. And from my own experience, that personal transformation leads to crazy business transformation. And I feel like, I mean, I didn't know when I created Born to Slay how deep the stuff was going to go. I guess it's because I had a lot of deep stuff I needed to heal myself. I don't, maybe that's why, but like, it goes deep. It's not a surface level mindset course. It's not
Right.
a kumbaya, you can do it, Jimmy kind of course. Like it
Mhm.
goes really deep.
Yeah.
And I love I don't want to glance over your business wins because they are important. Because you said that you had your highest sales month you've ever had.
Mhm.
You said that you've had more sales this year than you had before. You've said
Mhm.
that you've done a lot of things you've never done before that you were afraid to do inside of this container. And I always look at those pieces as those are the green buds. You know, I've shared this analogy before on coaching calls, which is like your kids bring home the science project, which is like the plants, and
Mhm.
you put it in the little container, and like you're like, is it working? Is it not working? Because I'm ready to toss this cup of dirt out. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And then right before you toss it out, right before you give up, that's when you see that green spurt, that green growth, you know? And
Mhm.
it's that one plant that has, 10 tomatoes on it, and every tomato has 200 more seeds that leads to 200 more and 200 more and 200 more. And what I really love, and this is me speaking life and encouragement over you, is what I really love is that knowing that because the change is deep, that it's long lasting, that it's permanent, and that you have something to stack and you have something to build off of, and that these practical wins that you have, those become your reminders of that it is working, and to keep working at, and to keep shifting, and to keep believing, and to keep taking action, which is beautiful. So I love all that. Why did you decide to sign up with me? Well, I mean, I'm not the only mindset expert, right? So why did you trust me?
I think, well, the reason I initially was drawn to you before we even met was because, you know, you get the travel industry and you're also faith-based. I love that you also incorporate faith into it, into the mindset piece. But after we met and you were honest with me and truthful, I was like, okay, this is exactly what I need. I need somebody to tell me those things that I'm not being honest about myself. And I love that you stop and you really try to listen for where God is leading you as far as what to say. I loved that. And you always know what to say, even though you might not know that I need to hear it. You always know what to say, and I believe that is because you are so intentional about really listening to God's voice.
I appreciate that very much. Yes. And he humbled me in a big way when I started doing this, because I was like, I can't, you know, ego is easy to get in the way.
Right.
Yeah, it's just, ego will get in the way. Because like, I remember, I actually talked about this the other day, but it was like the first couple calls I started to do the mindset coaching, I was like, let's talk about KPIs. Let's talk about social media. And someone was like, I want to talk about how my brother committed suicide. And I was like, God, what is going on? And it was like, you know, the answer I got was, I'm giving you these people that you don't always have the solution, so that you have to go inward and actually ask me for help, because it's not about you.
Right.
I would love for it to be about me, just to be honest.
I know, we all would.
Coming from a theater background, right, where I wanted to be like this bar all the time. I really do. I appreciate that. What do you think I don't do a very good job talking about the program that people need to hear?
Gosh, I don't know. And I know you do mention it, but I think how personal that people have to get. Like it's not, this is not superficial. And I know you do mention it. I don't think it's like completely hidden, but I guess I didn't realize how personal it would have to get. It have to. I mean, if you really want to make progress, then you have to get personal. You have to be able to dig deep and to really figure out the root of everything. And I guess I probably didn't. I don't think I realized that coming into this.
Yes, and let's not forget, you didn't reveal everything right off the bat either. Remember? Because you held back. And I think this is, and that's normal, right? I always tell people, like, and I think this is something that God taught me, which is unconditional love meets people where they are. Unconditional love doesn't force people to where they're not ready. And I feel like as entrepreneurs, there's times when I've been really frustrated and I feel like I'm waiting on God to do things. And I feel like he's truly waiting on me because he's not going to let me crash. He's not going to give me the Ferrari and watch me crash. And he's not there to judge me and say, what is wrong with you, Brandon? Why are you not there yet? And it's a deeply humbling concept when you realize that unconditional love meets you where you are. And so I don't always 120% excel at this. Sometimes I have pushed people maybe a little bit further than they're ready to do, but I do strive for that. And so I remember that conversation when you did open up about some of those personal things. And it was deeply humbling because I knew that you were sharing something that was really important to you and not something that you share with everybody all the time. What would you tell to someone? Oh, this is great because I think you get this. Not I think, I know you get this. Can you explain to people why you can't segment your personal life and your business life, and why having me is a blessing because I coach on both?
Mm-hmm. Everything is intertwined. I mean, you can't just leave your personal stuff at home and go to work and not think that that personal stuff is going to affect you. It's going to affect your mood, your attitude. It's going to affect your trust towards others. I mean, even when I just had a daily job, if anything happened at home, it was still affecting how I performed my job. And so it makes a big difference. And so it's harder to be 100% present when you have personal things to deal with. And so I think you do a really good job of just helping people to see the connection between the two, and how it is so how it is so important that the personal stuff is taken care of in order to really move forward in your business.
Love it. Couldn't have said it better. Thank you, Lord Jesus. Hallelujah. What was your favorite perspective shift that I gave you? I'm on this perspective kick because I just saw Wicked and I did a live on it last night. You know, Wicked is about shifting your perspective of the Wicked Witch of the West, so that she was actually a good person. She was actually trying to do good. And I feel like that's one of my favorite things that I love doing with coaching clients, is shifting their perspective on who they can become, what they can do, how much God loves them and is willing to help them. What was your favorite perspective shift that you had during this program?
I think it was one, and it was really early on. You told me it might have even been on that very first call. But I'm a very impatient person, so I have a hard time waiting on God's timing. And so then I start to question and doubt and lose trust in his plan for me. And I feel like God does really want this for me. But you told me once that God does not want us to fail. And that is probably the one thing, like every day I remind myself of that. And I don't know. I think that was probably just the biggest thing where I was like, oh yeah, why would I ever think otherwise? Like, I mean, that just doesn't even make sense because he loves me so much. Why would I think that he doesn't want me to succeed at this? But at the same time, we have to take action too. You know, he's not just going to give us everything that we want. And sometimes it also means listening more for him. I wasn't doing a very good job of listening to his voice either prior to this. And so I think this is just helped me bring God into my business more, and really try to do what he is calling me to do.
I love it. I love all of that. This is where I take a long pause to figure out what I need to say next. Okay, so on the subject of God, for someone who doesn't know or understand what co-creation is, because that's one of the cornerstones of this program, how would you define and explain co-creation?
Oh. Hmm. It's working with God. It's not, it's not just letting him completely lead everything. Obviously he also wants you to think for yourself. That's why he gave us free will. So it's not necessarily just making all decisions based on where he wants to go, because sometimes he just wants you to make that decision. And either way, he's going to be okay with it, and he's going to make everything be okay with it. So it's working together as a team with God in your business.
Teamwork makes the dream
I
work,
know.
right? Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Anything else you want to add? Anything at all?
I don't think so. I think I've got it. I got it all out, I think.
Well, I just want to say thank you again for trusting me. Thank you for letting me serve you. I want to remind all of you what I also want to remind Lindsey, which is if you want to change your life and change your business, you don't need permission. You don't need permission from a significant other. You don't need permission from your family. You don't need permission for the New Year's ball to drop. You can start right now. And the other thing that I want to say, which is even triggers me sometimes, but I have to remind myself, which is sometimes I feel like we wait on God to save us when he's already saved us. Like he's already given us talent. He's already given us the help. He's already given us the promises. He's already given us all those pieces. It's really more about us declaring them in gratitude and stepping into them to receive them, I feel like. And that's not to say that there's not times, because I've had these times, and I'm sure you've had, Lindsey, too, where you're like, WTF, where are you? It feels like you're not helping me. It feels like you've left me alone. And it feels me, I think we all have those moments. Lord knows I've had those moments. And I also know that it's in those moments where you are free to question God. And it's not from a question of like, shame on you. It's more about, I want to see your love. I want to see your presence. I want to see what is available. And I want to see what I'm missing. And I don't see it. And it's asking for that perspective shift, in a really powerful way. The last thing I want to share, we'll wrap this testimonial / hybrid, whatever this is, video, which is, you're never going to do the thing until you believe you can actually do the thing. Like you're never going to see the possibilities. You're never going to receive the answers and the solutions until you believe it's possible. If anything else, one thing that I love about how the first thing you said is you just showed me that you said, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only mom with 5 kids that's homeschooling. Like I'm not. Basically, what I was telling you in a really loving way is you're not special. Your circumstances, situation is not special. And, I've had my moments where I felt like very much like because of my situation, circumstance, I'm special in the sense of there's not an easy way out for me. Like I can't overcome this because like I'm the only one that's going through this. And it's like we've envisioned ourselves in this weird hole. And it's like, if you just turn around, there's elevator and stairs, which one you want to choose, like your deck of cards is not unique. And so my encouragement to anybody who's listening to Lindsey or thinking that your hole is bigger than other people's holes, or, even if you have, been doing your industry for 10 years and you're in, Hollywood or you're in real estate, like I don't care what industry, I don't care how successful you've been, but we all have these moments where we feel like the world is out to get us, where we feel like we can't overcome. And if you're just willing to let go of the I can'ts, you let in all the I cans. And that's one thing that I love the most about your whole entire story, is that you are willing to let go of all the I can'ts. And when you're willing to let go of the I can'ts, you let in all the I cans. And then you let go of all the I need it's right now to let it come in at the right time for you. Oh, one last piece of encouragement that will speed up your gestation period, so you're not waiting so long, is acting as if you already have it makes you ready to receive it. So in other words, when you have, this is such next level, but we're going to give this to Lindsey and speak life over her and all of you too, which is this idea that if you're going to hire a team, right? If you have some SOPs in place, if you have some trainings, if you know how you're going to onboard them, when you start to do all these pieces before your team member shows up, it's like getting your driver's license and taking driver's ed before you actually have the car. You know, it's telling God, like, I'm doing the work. I'm ready. I'm willing. I'm ready. I'm willing. And that really starts to shrink in the gestation period. So if you want to have higher level clients and you want to do more luxury travel in your business, then do more luxury travel training. Start talking about luxury travel, build out fake itineraries, do all those pieces. You know, the strangest thing happened. I had a client and they wanted to book all inclusives, but they'd never done all inclusive fam. They did all inclusive fam. And then all of a sudden clients showed up for all inclusives. And it's amazing how when you step out in faith and preparation, you know, then those things fall into your lap. And they're not falling into your lap like magic, or, you know, it feels that way, but it's not. It's just you're doing your end of the street, and God's always excited to bless you once you're ready. So I think a big piece of shortening that gestation period is getting ready for your next level. Cool. All right, Boo. I love you so much. Thank you so much for being here today and sharing your heart with all of us.
Thank you so much, Brandon. I appreciate you and I love you so much.
You are so welcome. I love you too, Boo.